What's good, fam? It's Tuesdays with Tawana. What's going on? It is Tuesday. We are here building community one episode at a time. I am Dr. Tad, your host and your curator for this vodcast that is later turned into a podcast and is available on different platforms. Yep, I am a little behind with posting a podcast, and I hope to be able to do that tonight so you can catch some episodes that you may have missed or you want to revisit or share with someone. So I'm so grateful for this moment, grateful to be alive, grateful to be with you one more time. Last week, I had the opportunity to share this space with my grandson, who is my angel on earth. And I want to give a quick shout out to my miracle, my other grandchild, who turned 7 months 2 days ago. So we are so grateful because many of you know the journey. The journey was not easy for Eli's parents, for Eli, for the family. So just grateful that he is just growing, and he has amazing parents that are just creating a divine space for him to be healed and whole and to grow and to get all his motor skills together. And he smiles and he waves and he is just such a joy. So, to my miracle, on your 7th month birthday, happy, well, belated birthday to you. What's up? What's up, Tammy? Good to see you in the building on today. Oh, Eli. Yes, my niece calls Eli a little Hawaiian loaf of love. And if that is not a compliment, I don't know what is, because Hawaiian bread is just sweet and soft and just delicious. And Eli is all of those things, all of those things. So, yes. So, yeah, so let's get with it. As you can see, there is no title for today because there is so much going on in this world. But let's start off with a good note. Yes, last week, we did this womanist in review and how Holy Week and from a Christian standpoint, our language is beginning to evolve, at least those who are astute, aware, divine, caring, compassionate enough to change their language, to remove any egos and say, you know what, we need to do this differently, so that we can, build community and be inclusive. So today I just struggled with what to talk about because there is just so much going on. But on a good note, with the Womanist in Review and talking about Holy Week, the picture that I put up for the opening of this episode was myself and the Dr. Rosemary Allen. And that photo of the two of us, we spent a lot of time together while I was in Denver. She is my day one. My relationship with Dr. Rosemary Allen, it it was truly divine. I can't even tell you the day that we just clicked. I know that it began to click when Kamal, social justice advocate and activist, wanted to go to Ferguson. And we talked about it. We talked about it as a family, and our family just grew and expanded. Her daughter Jasmine is like my little sister. So yeah, so I put that picture up because yeah, let me see if I can put it up again. Yeah, so this picture right here is truly the embodiment of miracles still happen. Both Rosemary and I are thrive. Well, I'm a thriver because I'm in active treatment. That's a term that they use, but I consider both of us thrivers because uh, dealing with living with cancer and having to deal with all the things that come along with it, right? It's not just the cancer itself, it's the medication, it's the impact of the medication on your body, whether it's your bones, whether it's your eyesight, whether it's your hair, whether it's your energy, whatever it is. And being together with Rosemary as another walking miracle was just absolutely amazing. Like, we fought the odds. You know, it was like the trifecta: me, Rosemary, and God. So, first, I was diagnosed, and she journeyed with me every step of the way, even came to the hospital. Like, I know you're not supposed to have visitors, but yeah, I'm here. And it suited up on her way somewhere to do the big things that she's doing. And she journeyed with me. And I think a lot of that experience, firsthand experience from a friend, um, added to her knowledge of walking through her healing journey. Um, whether it was losing her hair or the fatigue or the lack of appetite or whatever, you know, Rosemary had to deal with in her healing journey, there was something there that just reminded her of the journey that she walked with me during my healing journey, which is why it's so important that we build community, one story, one person, one community at a time, or one group at a time, because sharing our stories will then help us and inform us to move forward in different ways that we do not necessarily see or experience. So I may not see or experience or even talk about the healing process of cancer in certain areas. Growing up, remember, it was the C word, or they died of the big C and would never talk about it, and went to appointments on their own, or kept things in secret. And when you hold things in, it tends to fester, and it tends to continue to manifest in your body and may make matters worse, whether it's your mind, body, or spirit. Your faith may wane a bit because you might think that you're the only one going through this. But when we come together and share our stories and share our experiences, we talk about the late honorable Archbishop Desmond Tutu talks about my humanity is inextricably bound to yours. So that means that my experience is your experience. Whether you're experiencing it mind, body, or soul right in that moment, you still get to experience it beyond a physical level, in a spiritual level, on an energetic level, and something that triggers in your mind that says, I am a healer as well. And I'm going to journey with my beloved on this healing journey, and not even knowing that you may have to go through your own healing journey, whether it's a diagnosis or a relationship or whatever it might be. Hey, Elaine, always a blessing and an honor to see you. So again, just pause real quick. Anyone here for the first time, just, you can state your comments in the chat and I will insert your voice into this narrative, because this is about building community. This is not just about listening to Dr. Tad for 30 minutes. It is about us building community, one episode, one person, one conversation, one experience at a time. Elaine says, so thankful for you. Thank you for your medicine and healing in the world. Elaine is an example. Tamika is an example. Miss Odessa is an example of why I do what I do and how I am able to do what I do, because we were not created to do things alone. We are a communal people. We are not in this white supremacist culture, it's all about I, or either or it can't be a both and, or it is very materialistic and capitalist. And, that's just not how we are going to survive in this world. And because of you joining on to this podcast every week, we build community. Even though we're not together face to face, our energy surpasses time and space and joins us together and gives us language so that we can build community, whether we're near or far. And we may not be building physical community together, but now you have a language to build community where you are. Where you are. And then those communities will grow, and other communities will grow, and eventually we will begin to meet. We no longer have to think of boundaries as a place that separates us. We can think about those boundaries of places that bring us together, right? Because unfortunately, the worldly view of boundaries is like, stop, I'm not messing with you. But what about thinking of it in a different way and thinking of those boundaries as self-care and communal love and something that brings us together? It's those boundaries and those differences and the beauty in those differences that bring us together, right? It's a way that when we exchange stories and exchange experiences, we then expand our knowledge, we expand our language, we expand our vocabulary to deal with things that we aren't accustomed to dealing with. And now we have a language, we have a countenance, we have a level of compassion, we have a level of understanding and active listening that we may not have had before, because we want it to be right. That's very white. We wanted it to be all about me. That's very white supremacist. That's full of white power. I want to save somebody. No, we are not about that business where it's about power and control and power over bodies and situations and circumstances and judgment, right? So, acceptance and compassion and judgment. Judgment in making a decision. I shouldn't say judgment, because sometimes that can be misconstrued, but it starts with us, and it starts with an internal view of knowing who I am and how I choose to show up in the world, and then creating a space where I am attracted to those who speak life into my world, where I can speak life into someone else's world. It's this reciprocal relationship that we must have. It's not one way like white supremacist culture. It's a both and. It goes both ways. And I mentioned this healing and community because of what we have just learned about. The young man, somebody give me his name, who went to the wrong house looking for his siblings, and the 80-something-year-old man killed him. I want to speak his name, and it just escaped me. I'll try to look it up while I'm talking. But in those moments, young people being killed in Alabama at a party, we're still dealing with the after effects and the ramifications of what happened in Tennessee. We can even go back even further. We are still grieving Breonna Taylor. We are still grieving those who are not charged with heinous killings of our Black and brown beloveds. Thank you so much, Tammy. Hey, Bobby, so good to see you, fam. Good to see you as always. And I love when you greet me. You always put that basketball, because you are the baller extraordinaire. I've just always known you to play basketball, besides working together, but always basketball. Yes, Ralph, y'all. white supremacy at its best. I'm going to keep putting his name up here. Ralph Yarl. Gun violence at its best. Gun violence has now been deemed the number one killer of children. Not trans people, not black people, not socioeconomically challenged people, not people who get abortions, people who, my body, my decision, a queer community. Number one killer, guns. We've had 100 plus mass shootings and we're only in April. And Ralph, looking for his siblings, went to the wrong house. And no one would help him prior to that because of the color of his skin. His you know, it wasn't written on his forehead that he was brilliant or a talented musician or wanting to go to college and what college he wanted to go to. And like, I'm a good kid. Like that whole meritocracy, that is whiteness. And that whiteness has put this beautiful beloved in grave danger because he was looking for his siblings. Looking for his siblings. You know, have you ever made a mistake and pulled up in front of the wrong house? The numbers are so little, or there's no number on houses, or pulled into the wrong driveway, or chose a supermarket out of your area and ended up getting caught up in gunfire. I'm going to keep putting his name up there because we are sending love and light and energy and healing his way. Tamika was kind enough to put up a New York Times magazine about gun violence in children. We shouldn't even be having this discussion. When I went to Dubai, Tamika said the article is a great article on data around children dying here in the U.S. due to guns. And I started to put the title, like, I hate this place. And then I felt like, no, I don't even want to give it that much energy. I really don't. But I do hate this place. Because our young beloved is lying in a hospital, fighting for their lives because of the color of his skin. When do you open your door and just start shooting? Do you not say, who is it? I'm sorry you have the wrong home. Would he have done that if that was a white person? I don't want to hear about mental, and y'all know I'm all for mental health and mental wellness. This is racism, which is a mental disease as well. Let me just say that. Because you're taught and you begin to replay these moments of hate in your mind, and it skews what your mind would think in terms of things that make sense making and meaning making, and using your mind to connect to your heart to then make loving decisions and to insert love into humanity. And instead, you answer the door with a gun because a black human being is standing, ringing the doorbell to look for his siblings. When I went to Dubai, I spent a little over a week in Dubai. And in my reflection, one, I understand why Eric loves Dubai so much. By the way, he is doing well. For those of you that missed 2 weeks ago, um, Eric blew out his Achilles and he's been in a boot and on crutches. And then he developed a blood clot in his lung. And it's in a space, by the grace of God, that it did not travel any further to cause a lot of harm. He's on blood thinners and he's doing well and he's not in any more pain, but he listened to his body. His doctors listened to him. That's what community is about. And they responded quickly. And I'm grateful to God that they did. So he's doing much better. Um, yes, my niece Tammy spoke to him today, FaceTimed him this morning, and he does look good. Same old Lion King, as cheerful as ever. And yes, thank God he was in tune with his body, right? But as Black folk, do we really have an opportunity to be in tune with our bodies and then do something about it when our bodies are speaking to us? Because so many have taken our rights away and they, kill first and they're not punished later. And, when I went to Dubai, I told folk there were two things that I experienced that I can't say that I never experienced it before, but there were two things that I experienced in Dubai, and that was peace and safety. Peace and safety. I felt safe walking the streets as a Black woman. I felt honored, revered for the divine human being that I am, that we are. People were stopping. I said this, told you this story before. People were stopping and taking pictures and just enamored with the glow and the energy and the divine that's in me and Eric. It was just amazing, and I felt at peace, like just breathing the air and being in places that you have your hustlers and your marketplaces and things of that nature, but I never felt unsafe. I had to laugh because they were selling shea butter, like people offer to get your hair braided on 125th Street, right? If anybody has been to Harlem, you walk down the street and if you don't have braids, what they say, hair braiding, they want you to come in and get your hair braided. In Global Village, it was shea butter and perfume. So, it's some of those similarities. You laugh at they trying to, make a living and make it happen, and they know that we're tourists. And, well, I'm a tourist. Eric is an expat, but I'm a tourist. So I just felt so safe and so seen and and I realized, I knew this, but I actually realized how much, and for a Black woman, I can't speak for a Black man, but speaking in relation to the Black diaspora, if you will, here in these disunited states, that there rarely is a time where I feel totally at peace and safe unless I'm in my own home. If I am driving down the street in my nice car and there is a police officer sitting there, I know I'm not doing anything wrong. I know my papers are good. I got all my stuff, but there's something in me, that anxiety that wells up in me. Or if I am going into an unknown area and I I'm a Black woman and this might be a white area and it concerns me because I don't want a person to come up to me and talk to me about being in their neighborhood, or I shouldn't be here, or I don't belong here. It's so, and do we really feel safe in our own home? Breonna Taylor didn't. Thank you, Tammy. Breonna Taylor was sleeping. I'm this the emotions that are going through me right now with all that is going on, the my question and charge is, what do we do? How do we respond in ways that honor ourselves but fight the status quo of the systemic ills that continue to kill us mind, body, and spirit every day? Every day. Every day. I offer us an opportunity as we begin to close. I couldn't title this segment because I was so emotional, and then I was angry, and then I said, you know what? I don't need a title. It's my show. I don't need it, right? Okay. So we're just talking. We're just chopping it up, building community, one episode at a time. But what I want to offer to you today is one, as we are building community, it is so important that we look and connect with each other on an energy level. And we lead and live by example. And we connect with our higher selves, because our higher selves, the higher self that is in me, there's a higher self in you as well, that goes beyond the aesthetics, that goes beyond economic class, that goes beyond the systemic ills, that we can come together, and that energy is more powerful. The spirit is more powerful. The divine in me is more powerful. My survival and my resistance and resilience is more powerful. It doesn't mean that I don't feel. It doesn't mean I don't cry. It doesn't mean I don't fall and stumble and get back up again. It doesn't mean that I'm this, feeding into this strong Black woman trope. It doesn't mean any of that. It means that I am who God created me to be, and that is to be divine with the fullness thereof, so that I can be the change that I want to see, that I can make change in society by putting out this energy that is so powerful that the white supremacists don't know what to do with it, which is why they are so concerned about my gender and concerned about how I dress, or concerned about being drag, or being queer, or being an outspoken cisgendered Black woman, or being an educated Black woman, who are the most educated group in these United States. They are concerned about us retaliating, talking about this is ours. No, this life, this living in here in these United States don't belong to you white people, because you took me from my homeland and used my gifts and my talents here, and you abused me, you killed my ancestors, you raped my ancestors, you forced us to live in deplorable conditions, and we're still here and still alive, and you are concerned about what I might do to you. What you should do is be concerned about how you can reconcile that, and how you can pay reparations, mind, body, and spirit, to the people that you have caused harm to. Don't talk about my layers of trauma until you talk about your whiteness and your layers of trauma. But the reason why it's not called trauma is because you're still benefiting from it, and you're still making money off of our backs and our blood, sweat, and tears, and you're still making money off of passing laws that don't honor us as the beautiful human beings that we are. So what we have an opportunity to do is not only acknowledge who we are, love who we are, accept who we are, where we are, the divine in us, and then come together with the next person who understands who they are, love who they are, honors who they are, understands that they are powerful, and we come together and build community, and we begin to make change and be the change that we want to see. We begin to run for office. We begin to pull together our resources. We begin to trust each other, because as a Black woman, when I say something, I'm not automatically believed or trusted. So when I tell you that I'm concerned about my life walking in the streets more than I'm concerned about my cancer diagnosis, believe me when I tell you. When I tell you I'm concerned about my grandchildren growing up in this world, or my grandson who is a teenager who is now becoming more independent, and that concerns me, believe me when I tell you, and it concerns me because of the white supremacist power behavior that white people continue to place on us and to insert into this narrative so that they can have this false sense of power that continues to degrade us, demean us, and dehumanize us. And it must stop today. It must stop now. We are fighting for liberation. And as a womanist, as I talk about womanism all the time, because womanism is about honoring the Black woman, centering the Black woman, making sure the Black woman is seen and heard while we lift as we climb. We are not degrading our beautiful Black men. We are not degrading our beautiful people of color. Those who are riding with me for liberation, I'm not demeaning you or dismissing you. I don't need to be in charge. As a matter of fact, if you want this title, you can have it, because it puts me at risk with all the BLM leaders that were killed, and there's still no answers as to why and how, or other revolutionaries that were killed and murdered. And we know this, and we see it on video. We saw George Floyd on video. We see the body cams, and it's still happening, and they're still getting away with it. And what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? I love you, brother. Hey, sis. Hey, Donald. Good to see you. My brother's always here supporting. I love it. Thank you, Larry. But what are we going to do about it? Are we going to feed into the white supremacist culture and have books removed from school? We don't have no damn books in our schools anyway. We don't even have libraries. They took out the gyms, they took out the parks, they took out anything that'll create an opportunity for us to release and to let go. They want us to hold all this stuff in so we could be angry enough to then do something that they deem as a crime. And then there's more Black and brown people incarcerated than there are white people. There are more white people on welfare than there is Black and brown people. There is more Black and brown people being killed in these streets by any means necessary and for no reason than there is white people. There is no such thing as Black on Black crime, because when you put all Black people in one space and you deem them socially, economically challenged, and you don't put supermarkets in their neighborhoods, and you don't give them jobs, of course they're going to fight each other, just like in a Latin community or in another community when you put everyone together. It's by design. So what are we going to do? We are going to put a stop to it. First of all, we're going to put a stop to it. Second of all, we're going to acknowledge the divine in us and our healing process. So my healing process as a HER2 positive metastatic stage 4 breast cancer thriver is going to look different than someone else. My friend Amy succumbed to her challenges of HER2 positive metastatic stage 4 breast cancer, and now she is at peace. That was her healing. Somebody else's healing is to being grateful to open their eyes and to be able to breathe even in the midst of their illness or their lack of mobility. Somebody else might need an apparatus to help them to get around, and they're thankful that they can get around. So if we start there, we start appreciating ourselves, we start looking at ourselves as the divine beings that we are, and not defined by the people who continue to try to oppress us and to marginalize us and dehumanize us, and we decide who we are and how powerful we are and how divine we are, then we can recognize in one another. Because when I talk about the individual, I'm really talking about the collective. And we talk about Ubuntu. I am because we are. We are inextricably bound. When I am happy, you're happy. When you're sad, I'm sad. We exchange these emotions and all of this intellect and all of this energy so that we can live and not die at the hands of systemic racism. Latanya, beloved. Yes, put the fire up. Because the fire means we're going to put the fire up under these folk and make some change. And make the change that we need in order for us to survive. And even if we don't see it in my lifetime as a 53-year-old Black woman, I need to make sure that I set the standard so that when my grandsons grow up, they are not growing up in a land or earth that is burning up because of climate change. I don't need them to grow up still being fearful of being a Black man in America. I don't need them to grow up and not have the opportunities of healthcare and mental wellness and success and degrees or otherwise. Whatever you deem successful, they will live and not die at the hands of systemic racism. And what happens is, if we do not speak, if we do not speak out, if we do not speak up, white supremacy and white power will continue to be the voice that we see on TV, whether it's fake Fox News or anywhere else. It's because of social media that we were able to learn about our beloved Ralph Yall. It was because of social media. So if we continue to use our platform to speak truth to power, we can make the change. If we stop supporting financially a lot of these businesses, you know how much power we have in the dollar? You know how much power we have? And if we support our own politicians, our own teachers, our own community leaders. I was just saying the other day how, the organization that I'm the executive director for, and they do not, this is my message. This is not affiliated with any other organization that I am with. But when I see monies coming into organizations, it is white money, and I love it when it's intentionally reparations. I don't love it when it's just a checklist, and I would love to see more Black beloveds support their own. I would love to see foundations rooted in Blackness and supporting Black organizations. I would love to see Black folk supporting Black folk. We spend $1 trillion annually. If we can do one of two things, right? I remember my friend Charlie Watkins in Denver. We can either all Black people buy a gun, then the NRA will change the laws. Funny, not funny. Or don't support those that are supporting the NRA and putting money into the NRA and killing our kids. White people would rather sacrifice their own children than to change the laws because it impacts the money in their pockets and the lobbying and their so-called leadership and power. So I call on you today as we build community one episode at a time, that in these episodes that we learn the language, we learn about language justice, and we're going to talk more about that. Because sometimes people won't say anything because they just don't know what or how to say it. And instead of us being judgmental, let us take someone by the hand and say, tell me how you are feeling. Let me help you work through this. Let me put a name to this. That's a microaggression. Oh yeah, let me put a name to that. That's implicit bias. Oh, let me put a name to that fatigue. That is racial battle fatigue. Oh, let me put a name to that so you can name it so you can face it to fix it. I had to name my cancer to be able to say, oh, cancer, you will not. I was reflecting the other day how near-death experiences happened in my life, and I am still here today, from a nosebleed to a blood infection to a hematoma to all these things going on in my world. And I said, not today. And it does not mean that those who die don't have a relationship with God. Their healing journey is their healing journey, and they have told their stories prior to their moving on to the next life. So I speak about my life and my journey because I want someone else to understand that you are in control, even though it seems as if cancer is heinous. Cancer is disgusting. Cancer is one of the worst diseases that anyone could ever experience. And yet you are greater. You are still beloved. You are still loved by the Most High. You are still loved by community. When I went to Denver and I visited my previous church, the love that I received from people just reminded me of why I am still here. I am not here only by the grace of God in God's self, but because of the grace that God pours out in people to say my name, the compassion to pray for me, the love and healing energy because they want me to live and not have to die at the hands of this heinous disease that affects Black women more than white women. So, beloveds, as we leave this moment, let us be intentional about building community. Let us be intentional about loving ourselves. Let us be intentional about using that love for self to love others. Let us be intentional about building community. Let us be intentional about not judging, but having this dialogue with someone to learn more about someone else's experiences, sharing our own experiences and building community. It doesn't mean you have to tell all your business. There are some things that should remain private. There are some things that could remain private. Not everybody is going to tell their story like me, and that is okay. Some people can't talk about domestic violence, and that is okay. This is my calling, what I choose to do, how I choose to show up in community. It doesn't mean that you are degraded or demeaned because you don't do it the way I do it. See, that is ego. So I want you to show up in your womanist way. And yes, we're talking to men as well. Men can be womanist, where you are centering, protecting, loving, nurturing, supporting Black women and centering Black women, because then that means you're doing the same for yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're a womanist and you are riding for Black women, that means you are riding for yourself. See, this Blackness, this womanism, this whole a building community, Black community, it's just not about the individual that is so white and so white supremacist and so full of a false sense of power. You can't give what you don't have. So if you are ride or die for me, that means you are going to ride or die for yourself. And if it doesn't mean that, we're going to journey together so that you can ride or die for yourself as well as for me. Inextricably bound. My humanity is caught up in your humanity. Spending $1 trillion in this damn nation, and we're only 13% of the population. Listen, we're well over time. Clearly, I had a lot to say. I don't even know what this title would be when I posted on the podcast. Hey, Brittany, what's good, beloved? Imagine just learning to have community power. My 2023 goal, my goal is intentional integrity, intentional truth, intentional being, intentional honor of how we show up, integrity. Yes, Britt, I see you. I see you, Britt. I see you for sure. Brittany says, I think often God has us go through certain storms to ensure we can help someone else through theirs. Yep. And I'm going to say a both and. That could very well be true. And I also believe that when the world puts these things on us due to environmental injustice, due to health injustice, due to access to healthcare and hospitals and doctors that see me, that God steps in and God turns that thing around. God is with us in that doctor's room, weeping with us when a doctor doesn't see us and just comes in and looks at their paper and says, well, you have cancer. Okay, you're going to start treatment, and this treatment is called Kadcyla, or this treatment is called Herceptin, Perchetta, Taxotere, and Carboplatin, and it may cause, and then you're just spitting out all these words about metastatic, and you had a pathology report, and they never look you in your eyes. God is right there with you, holding you tight, saying, I got you. I got you. And we are going to advocate for you because no doctor will ever come back in here and disrespect you again. Because I am going to give you the words. Just hear my voice. And I'm going to give you the words, and I'm going to give you the people and the community to surround you. Yeah, Britt. God is in it. And God will turn that thing around. And there are some experiences that there are things that I had to own, that things that I went through. I made crazy decisions growing up, right? By the grace of God, I'm still here and still alive. I made those decisions. And then God turned that into a learning opportunity because I was open and willing to say, shit, how can I not do that again? What do I need to do? And for me to be a preacher and to be in this moment is a miracle in and of itself. Y'all don't know. My brother knows. Yeah, Tamika knows. And I'm just a true testament that God is real and God is still a miracle worker, a provider, a protector. Even though the world doesn't protect us, God is there. We have free will, and unfortunately, people use their free will to shoot Ralph. See, I gotta see his name to pronounce it. Please forgive me, Ralph Y'all, to be shot and killed in front of a home because he was looking for his siblings. That is not of God. That is of the world, the twisted white supremacists, individualistic, false power having world of people that continue to cause us harm with no recourse. We are well over time, but I saw Marcia pop in here, my beloved Marcia. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, Bobby said, well said. Thank you for the message. Oh, yeah, I did miss Marcia's comment. Hold on. What are we going to do about it? First steps. Vote the blank sons and daughters of supremacist witchcrafters out of local and national office. Period. Full stop. Janetta, yes, he's still alive. He's Ralph, y'all, we just keep speaking his name, speaking life, speaking healing on this long journey. Yes, we are praying for Ralph's full recovery. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, with that, beloved, Marcia said it, those who are able to vote, vote. We Soul to Soul Sisters just released a Black woman's voter guide, and it's centered for Colorado, but I think you can use it wherever you are. I'm gonna post it on my page, on my Dr. Tad page, on Instagram, on my link tree. I think it's just good to know because we need to know all offices, sheriffs, judges, wherever they're elected in their respective areas, clerks, mayors, all of it. We need to know all of it. It's not just about showing up for the presidential election. It's called Black civic engagement, and that's what we call it at Soul to Soul Sisters. It's engaging in this civic process where we can make the change. We have a voice, we have the power, we have the money. Now we just need to use it. So one, centering yourself, loving yourself, because when you do that, you are building community, because we're not about individualism and individualistic behavior. 2, get out there and get civically engaged. 3, we got to use our monetary resources to begin to fight back, to build schools, to build libraries like we did during a time when we were enslaved. If we could do it when we're enslaved, we can do it now. But we must do something to stop the killing of our babies, which we learned earlier is the number one killer. Gun violence is the number one killer of our children here in these United States. So I'm so grateful for each of you for coming on and for commenting and engaging. Hey, thanks for passing through, Esquire. What's going on? The Natasha Robinson, Esquire. Reverend Marcia says, and we can be like unto the Tennessee Three, build alliances. You saw how people fought back when the Justins were expelled, and we got one back in, and we got this. And I need you to know we got this. We got this. And we're going to make this change. We're going to be the change that we want to see. We're going to be the answer to our ancestors' prayers. We are going to be the divine beings that they say that we're not. We are going to be seen in a healthy, divine, protective way when they don't want us to be seen that way. Yeah, all of that. So, I love you dearly. This is Dr. Tad with Tuesdays with Tawana. Thank you for letting me go over to almost an hour. Oh my gosh. But it's a lot. It's a lot to talk about. And I encourage you to just do the things. Do the things for yourself, and understanding that doing them for yourself is not a selfish act. It's a communal act. It really is. Because I am, because you are. My humanity is inextricably bound to yours. Yes, now I have to breathe. Absolutely. Reverend Marcia knows me well. I need to breathe. So I love you. I love you for joining. Share this, pass this along. I'll post all of my past podcasts, and including this one. And I hope that this encourages you. And I hope that you walk away from this feeling good, feeling honored, feeling seen, because I see you. I honor you. I love you for who you are in this world. Keep doing big things. Keep envisioning us in the future. And let us start by liberation in the now, so we can see ourselves and see our beloveds, our next generations in the future. I'm out, y'all. Peace.